Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and hello if you're new here. I'm so glad that you have joined. This is going to be a little bit of a different video today because I thought I would do a Q&A slash like a bookish, non-bookish Q&A, so like all your questions, whether it's book related, non-book related or anything like that, so that you guys can get to know me a little bit better. Because I recently hit 10,000 subscribers, which, what? So, I mean, I know to some people that might not be a big deal, but it is to me, and it's just like a milestone that I always wanted to reach, and I did it. I know everybody says this, but I'm genuinely so grateful and thankful to every single person that's subscribed and continues to watch my videos of me talking, rambling, going off on tangents about books. Whether you literally subscribe today, whether you've been here from the beginning, like whether you subscribed 6 months ago, just anyone that subscribes and watches my videos, just thank you so much. YouTube is hard work, to say the least. Like I mean, obviously I know I choose to do it and I absolutely love doing it. I love doing YouTube, but my God, is it hard work, especially when you're doing it around a job and, oh, Coda's come to join us. But especially when you're doing it around a job and other like social media as well. Like obviously I started doing book talk and having a TikTok, and that's what made me want to go onto YouTube, because I really wanted to do long form content, and it's just been like the best year and a half. And yeah, I'm just very, very grateful and very thankful to all of you, and that's why I thought I would do this video, so that you guys can get to know me a little bit more, because all I do is talk about books. So we will still discuss books, but we can talk about me a little bit. I mean, I'm actually really not that interesting, I'm going to be honest, but I know that as somebody who watches other people, I like to get to know the people that I'm watching. So I did go on my Bookstagram account and ask you guys, I did like a question box and just said, ask me any questions you want, book related, non-book related. I have screenshot the answers and we're just going to go through and talk them. I'm not going to do it in any particular order. I think we'll just go with what's there. So first question, I think this is a good one to start with, is what book got you into reading? So I actually got into reading at 2 different points in my life. So the first one was when I was really super young, and when I say young I mean like 10 years old. Yes, okay, I was the typical girl who read Twilight and The Hunger Games and then 50 Shades of Grey when that came out. Like I think everybody read those, even if they're not necessarily someone who reads books all the time. But when I was like 10, I remember so vividly, I was on holiday in Tunisia and I read Inkheart, which I'll insert a photo of it here. I was obsessed with that book. It's like a fantasy book. I wouldn't say necessarily for children, like it's not like a kiddie book, but I read Inkheart and I was completely and utterly obsessed with it, that I read that book back to back multiple times until I think the book itself nearly fell apart. And then my mum took me to Waterstones, and from then on I kept reading things. Obviously I'd read like Harry Potter and things like that, but yeah, so that was the book that got me into reading then, and I never really kind of got out of reading. I would just say that there was a time in my life, so when I was living up in Nottingham, which if you have been here from the start you will remember my house in Nottingham and my old library room and everything from there. When I was up there, for that period of time I wasn't really reading unless I went on holiday. And then the book that got me back into reading this time round, which then in turn inspired, if you will, like me creating a TikTok and then eventually YouTube, was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, which I feel like that's everybody's origin story, It Ends With Us. I just remember, in fact there's a whole story behind this. Am I going to tell the whole story? I do ramble a lot, so you probably are going to want to get a cup of tea or a coffee and some snacks for this video. But what got me into then deciding to read It Ends With Us is while I was up there, like I said, I wasn't really reading as much as I had done for most of my life for about 5 years. And I was quite lonely up in Nottingham and it wasn't a very good time in my life. And I remember coming home to visit my mum, and I had wardrobes. So my built-in wardrobes, one of the sides of it had been turned into like a built-in bookshelf. I remember coming home and I just grabbed the Crossfire series from there because I'd read that so many times and loved it. And I remember going back up to Nottingham with it and sitting down, and for the first time in a number of years living up there, like my mental health wasn't in a very good place, and that was the first time that I felt like reading just really made me feel everything in my head just quietened down. I didn't feel so lonely anymore. And so then once I finished the Crossfire series, I went onto Amazon and just literally searched spicy romance book. I don't know why It Ends With Us came up as a result of that, but it did. And I bought that, and then here we are. Like that was what, 4 years ago? Here we are 4 years later. So yeah, that's a very long-winded way of telling you what book got me into reading. So the next question is my favourite fantasy or romantasy read. Okay, so favourite fantasy romantasy reads. Throne of Glass, these are really basic answers because I've only really just got into reading a lot of different types of fantasies in the last like 6 months. But Throne of Glass, definitely. I do really like ACOTAR, but Throne of Glass as a whole, I just thought was a much better story and journey. Fourth Wing, the first book. I love Fourth Wing. Do I love Iron Flame and Onyx Storm? Not really. Like, they're okay, but Fourth Wing was amazing. City of Gods and Monsters was a 5-star read for me this year. I haven't read the rest of the House of Devils series yet. That has been on my TBR for a little bit too long. Still haven't got around to it because I just really... Now I have time. I have so much more time now that the house, we've moved in and everything's sorted. So City of Gods and Monsters is definitely one of my favourite like romanticises. But other than that, like I'm only just really getting into it and reading lots of them now. So yeah, I'm going to just have to go with those answers. Another question is, how long have you had your dog? I don't know if you can see him. My dog has just joined us. Coda. I've had Coda since he was a puppy. So he's 7, nearly 7.5 years old now, which is crazy because he's just so puppy in every sense of the word. People meet him and cannot believe he's 7.5 years old. They always think he's 2. He acts like a 2-year-old, but no, he's 7 and at the absolute love of our lives. Like, he's just the best. Next question is, what do you do for work? This is like a really boring answer, but I'm in sales. So I just do sales part-time and I'm quite lucky, like it's fully remote and I just do part-time hours, which I really can't complain about. And it also kind of allows me to, one, be able to do my horses, because if you didn't know, I do own 3 horses. So I work part-time because I don't think I could physically have a full-time job around the horses. I realise how privileged and like, I don't want that to come across the wrong way, but I've had the horses my whole entire life, so they always come first to me. And yeah, so I just do that part-time Monday to Thursday, 9 till 3. Fridays are my filming days where I sit down and film content. I try to get like 1 to 2 YouTube videos done and like film a few TikToks on a Friday, and then I sort of edit over the weekends and through the week. So yeah, that's what I do for work. I work from home, which is great because it means I can be at home with Coda. It means I can get straight to the yard within 5 minutes after work. So as much as I don't love my sales role, like it allows me to do other things in my life, like my other loves of my life, essentially, without interfering too much. So yeah, I can't complain. I definitely can't complain. The next question is social media your full-time job? So no, it isn't my full-time job. Would I love it to be my full-time job? Yes, of course. I mean, who wouldn't? Like, I think everyone's dream job is to do something that they love. And the things that I love are books, horses, Coda and Charlie. I don't know why, Charlie, I don't mean to put you last. They're the things that I love. So yes, if I could do this full time, I absolutely would. I do earn, obviously, money off of YouTube and social media, like content creation in general, like working with authors and publishers and creating content on YouTube, and that does actually bring in like a decent amount of money. It brings in pocket money, not enough for me to quit my job, but if I could and do this full time, I absolutely would. And like Charlie is probably my biggest fan when it comes to my YouTube channel, and if I could quit tomorrow, work tomorrow and just do this full time, he would be all for it for me. Like, he really supports this. But no, I'm not quite there yet. I don't do this for the money. Like, the money to me is just a bonus. Like, if I never made enough money to do this full time, I would still choose to create content because I just love it. I love talking about books and reading books and being able to share that. I love being a part of this community. I just absolutely adore it. So I would still continue to do it. The money is literally just a bonus, but yeah, I would love to do it full time, just not right now. I love this question. If you could travel anywhere fictional, where would you go? Valaris, oh my god, 100% Valaris, like the city in ACOTAR, if you haven't read it, which I feel like everybody has. I would definitely travel there. Where else would I travel? I mean, there's just so many. Definitely not anywhere set in the, like, no dark romance worlds. As much as I love dark romance, I love to read it, I don't want to stay there. Also, maybe this is not like, this isn't a fantasy world, but Thunder Bay from the Devil's Night series. So even though I just did say like not a dark romance world, I take that back actually, because Thunder Bay, if I could just go and be friends with all of them, like Rika and Emery and Will Grayson, and like honestly, if I could just go and be their friend and just insert myself into that book, then I absolutely would, because I love the Devil's Night series so much. So much. It is god tier. It's one of my favourite books. I think about it all the time still. I read it for the first time 3 years ago. I'll never get over it. So yes, I'd like to go to Thunder Bay. So opinion on trigger warnings. Personally, do they just ruin the plot? just do a hyperlink if you must. So I think trigger warnings are very important. I think if you don't have triggers or you don't want trigger warnings, then just don't read the trigger warnings and go into the book blind. I do that nearly all of the time and I have no issues. Like, I know what I'm getting myself in for with dark romance. I know the kind of storylines and plots that I buy and read, and so I don't read my trigger warnings, but I do think that they are necessary because people may not know something's a trigger, or sometimes people may have read something in a previous book that they didn't like how that made them feel, and I think people deserve to know if that's going to be in the book. And if you do want to read your trigger warnings, like, people should have the option to do that. I get the hyperlink thing, but with hyperlinks, is that not just something that you would click on a Kindle? Because obviously not everybody's reading a Kindle, and then if you want to sit down and read a book, if the trigger warnings aren't included, you then have to go and search the author's website and find the trigger list. And I just think it should be made easy and accessible for everybody. If you want to read them, you should be able to. If you don't want to read them, you don't have to read them. And that is at the reader's discretion. So I have no issues with trigger warnings, to put it simply. I think they're important. I think everybody should be able to easily access the content of what the book is going to be. The next question is, can we see the horses? So yes, you can see the horses. I mean, when I lived in Nottingham, I actually did include the horses into some of my reading vlogs quite often because I'd have to stop reading to go and like finish my horses off. So if you didn't know, I'll insert a photo of them here because I love them so much. But I have 3 horses: Madison, Mickey and Cassie. And I've had Maddie for 15 years and I've had Mickey and Cassie for like 12 to 13 years. They are the horses that I have at the moment. I did have a horse before Maddie called Grace as well when I was younger. I do sometimes include them, but I'm just also like very aware that my channel is bookish content and I just don't want to like throw my horses into people's faces if you're not interested. But if you do want me to include them, little clips of them in the vlogs more when I have to go down in the middle of a reading vlog and feed them or ride them or whatever, then let me know. I'd be more than happy to include them a little bit more. But yeah, I know that like not everybody's a crazy horse girl like me. So the next question is my top 10 books. This is so hard. This is so hard. So can I just include, no, I'll pick books out of a series. So my top books: Nightfall, which is from the Devil's Night series, 100%. Credence by Penelope Douglas. Magnolia Park's The Great Undoing. I would have to, if I had to pick a favourite out of this series, it would be that one. That book, just, the Magnolia Park series in general is amazing. I would put Fourth Wing up there. The way, like, Fourth Wing was such a good time. I loved it. I don't love where the series is going at the minute, but then I kind of love all the lore and the theories that are evolving. It's quite complex, but I just feel like the last 2 books, it's gone nowhere at the same time. Then The Blood We Crave. Wait, how many books is that? I think I'm on 5. The Blood We Crave by Monty J. Absolutely. That is part 1 and 2, but just part 1 or part 2. I loved both of them equally. Reverse by Kate Stewart. Oh my god, I read that at the beginning of this year. That was absolutely amazing. Exodus by Kate Stewart. What are we on? We're on 7 now. The Odes and Omissions by Savile Miller. So that is book 3, I think, out of the Monsters and Muses series. I do not see that series spoken about enough. I love that book so much. Also Restitution by Lee Rivers. So the 3rd book in the Edge of Darkness trilogy. Absolutely insane. I loved that book. Is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So also I would do Play Along, the 4th book in the Windy City series by Liz Tomford. Oh god, I just love that so much. Isaiah Rose and Kennedy. I love them. That book was amazing. Also, I gave The Right Move 5 stars as well, so you could put that in there. Oh, it's really hard to narrow it down because over the years, obviously, I've rated quite a lot of books 5 stars. Also, I have 6-star reads. Although this year, seriously lacking in 5-star reads. I think I've only had 6 or 7, and I've read 87 or 88 books so far, so not doing so well this year. I would say Losers, part 1 over part 2. Loved that book. Again, read that about 3 years ago now. And I would say City of Gods and Monsters, so the House of Devils book, number 1. That was amazing. I have probably missed out some books. It gets really overwhelming when you've read so many books to try and narrow it down to just your favourites when they spread over years and years. But yeah, those are the books that have come to the top of my head that I absolutely love. Top 5 book series. So again, the Devil's Night series, the Magnolia Park series, the Hollow Boy series by Monty J, Edge of Darkness series by Lee Rivers, probably the Madison Kate series by Tate James, just because other series that I've really loved, I haven't completed them yet, so like I don't know how I'd feel about the series as a whole. But yeah, even like Madison Kate or the Hades series by Tate James, loved those. Do I prefer hardbacks or paperbacks? So I used to just love paperbacks. Like all I would want to read is paperbacks only, and that's all I would buy. And then obviously sometimes in the UK, like when books get traditionally published, you can only get the hardback for like the first almost year and until the paperback releases. So then I had no choice but to buy hardbacks, and I actually don't hate them anymore. And I think since also discovering like special editions, like they obviously are nearly always hardbacks. So yeah, I don't mind a hardback. They're much easier to read. You don't have to worry about breaking the spine. They're way more sturdy. I'm very, very precious about my books. I've had people comment on my TikTok before and say like, do you actually read these books? How do you keep them in such good condition? It is because I will literally read in an uncomfortable position so that I don't break the spine or ruin the book. I'm so particular about them. So a hardback is definitely much easier to read. I don't know which I prefer, which isn't really answering the question. I really don't mind anymore. It used to be paperbacks, but not so much anymore. Next question is, do you have any favourite companies for special edition books? Yes, so Bookish and Spice, which I think is an Australian book company. I only have one edition from them and it blew me away so much. The quality of it and everything was absolutely amazing. And then I don't know what this company is called, but like the Books for Days Crate / Imagine Bookshop, they kind of have two names. I've got loads of editions from them. Their books are incredible because not only do you get art on the naked hardback, you also get double-sided dust jackets as well. You get end paper artwork. Like there's just so much character art in them. Their sprayed edges are amazing. And I think they are expensive, but I think they're really worth the money. I am going to do a full rundown on special editions, which companies are worth it, shipping costs, what companies I've bought from, and show you guys. Like I am going to film that will be coming. It's just going to take me a while. So that will be coming because when I did my bookshelf tour, a lot of people did ask for that, so I will film that and I can give you a bit more information on special editions. The next question is, what is your career? So I kind of already answered that in terms of like what my job is, which is sales, but that's not really my career. Like that's not what I want to do forever. I don't really know what I want my career to be, even though I'm 30, which is like kind of sad to admit. Like I don't know what I want to do. I do really like sales. I want my career to just literally be YouTube. Favorite tropes. Okay, so enemies to lovers, but when it is done right. It has to be done properly, because otherwise you can't just write to people that just don't like each other, have a mild dislike, or like rivals to lovers is not enemies to lovers. I want real enemies to lovers. That would be one of my favorite tropes. A recent new favorite, and I think that's because I've been reading more fantasy and you see this a lot more in fantasy, is slow burn. Oh my god, like Nightshade is one of the perfect examples. That isn't actually fantasy, but that was one of my last 5-star read. The best slow burn. Oh god, when it's done right, it's so good. I love forced proximity, but like a real true forced proximity. Like these people are stuck together, they can't get away from each other. Not just like, oh, they're my neighbour, so like they're just going to be there all the time. Like I'd love a real true forced proximity. And then also one bed, which I hardly ever read anymore, because every time I've read it in a book, they get to the place where there's only one bed to share, and then the other character, the MMC, sleeps on the floor. Why? I want them to have to share a bed. When they have to share a bed, and it's one bed trope, so good. Fake dating. Fake dating as well. Love fake dating. The only thing about fake dating is I find it really difficult to find ones that I love, because you typically find them in rom-com, which I don't love that genre. But Overs and Omissions, one of those books that I said earlier on, that is one of my favourite books ever, is a fake dating trope in a dark mafia / small town / Greek mythology retelling book, and it's so good. So yeah, fake dating in the right environment, also one of my favourites. And then also somebody else asked me 3 questions, but they asked me in a DM, so I'll answer those as well. So the DM is, hey, I actually have a few. I thought I'd DM you, I hope you don't mind, but don't worry if you don't want to answer. Of course I'm going to answer. So, do you ever feel uncomfortable reviewing dark romance because it's so hit and miss with people? That's a really interesting question. I feel like this is I'm probably going to ramble on about this for a little bit now. So no, I don't ever feel uncomfortable reviewing dark romance, because I don't see why I should have to. I think like at its core, or just reading in general, if somebody is reading a genre that you don't like, you don't have to watch that video or take that recommendation. You don't have to read that book, and what somebody chooses to read in their own time does not affect your life in any way, shape or form. So I don't know why people get so funny and uppity about what other people choose to read. Like if you really don't like it, that is absolutely fine. You were well within your rights to not like dark romance or anything like that. That's fine. So don't read it, don't watch the content that's recommending it, and just keep out of the way of people that want to recommend that. Like there are tropes and genres that I don't love, so I will not watch these videos to then say how much I hate this genre or this trope. Like, I just won't watch it. Like, there is such a stigma around dark romance in general, and I don't really understand why, because I don't really feel like we should be allowed to tell somebody else how they're supposed to feel whilst reading something. So in dark romance, I feel like there's kind of two sides to it. There's like the typical dark romances, like that are like almost unserious in a way, where you just have this really crazy, possessive, red flag MMC that none of us girls really want in real life, but it's like an exacerbated version of like what the qualities that you kind of maybe want. Like, you want your partner to be protective of you, but you don't want them to go to the point where they're like unhealthily obsessive, right? But like, sometimes it's nice to just read that and just get a little bit lost in something that's a little bit silly. Like, these men do these crazy things. Like, is your partner going to chop the hands of somebody that touched you and sent it to your door, and are you going to like that in real life? No, you're not. But that's why fiction is fun, right? Because it's like an escape from reality, and it's like taking what you kind of do love, taking it 100 times further, and it's just like fun to read because it's just so unrealistic. And then there is also the other side of dark romance, where stories are being told about things that actually happen to people in real life. Like, real people will go through the storylines that you're reading, and they're a little bit deeper and a little bit more serious and tougher to read. I feel like there's two types of it. Both are fine, and anybody can read either one. That's not a problem. Who are you to say to somebody that this storyline is romanticizing or making something okay that shouldn't be okay? Like, sometimes things in these books aren't okay, like what happens to these people. And people who have gone through that themselves find an escape and some kind of like healing from reading a storyline like that and watching the characters in this overcome it, get through it, find love, find self-worth. That can be so healing for somebody who can relate to what's going on in these books. That's just like my opinion on it. I don't condone half the stuff I read in a dark romance, but does that mean that I should judge somebody else for reading it? Like, absolutely not. If that's what they want to read, then fine. And just also be aware that if you can't relate to things in books as well, so you just think it's super messed up and like, why on earth would you read something like that, then understand how privileged you are to have not been in a position where that would affect you in your life in any way, where you would need to read a book with that in it so that you can feel some kind of like healing from the trauma that you have. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could talk about this all day, and I don't want to like offend anybody who's watching this that doesn't like dark romance, but I just think like reading is not that deep. Everything at the end of the day is fiction. It's literally words on paper. Let's not shame other people for reading what they want to read. Let's encourage people to read more, because reading is such a good hobby to have. God, I feel like I've spoken about that for ages. The next question is, what does your day-to-day life look like? That's an interesting question. So I would say Monday to Thursday, the days that I'm at work, I get up, I go to the stables before work, I muck out my horses, put them out into the field, get home for like about 8 o'clock in the morning, have a cup of tea. Sometimes I try and read a little bit, work up until, I actually finish at 3:10 if we're going to be specific. Then I go to the stables. Sometimes I go straight down and get there for 3:30. Sometimes if I'm not riding that day, I might not go down till like 4:30, 5 o'clock. Finish the horses, so if I'm not riding, they'll come in from the field, have hay nets, have their feeds, and then I come home. Then I have dinner. So I don't actually really start reading till about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and I try to go to bed at 10 p.m. So 4 out of the 7 days of the week, I'm only reading for like 2 to 3 hours a night. And then sometimes maybe like in the morning before work. And then Friday is a filming day, so I literally go and do my horses, come back, film until I'm done, and then I go back to the stables. Saturday, Sunday, same, literally the same again. Horses, morning and evening. It just might be that I might have like plans with my friends and stuff, but yeah, that is my day-to-day life. It's really not that interesting. And then the last question that this girl asked was, do you ever feel pressure to read because it's your job? Yes and no. Yeah, sometimes I do, because if I don't read enough books, I don't have any content to make. Like, I have nothing really to talk about, and I'm very conscious that I don't want to keep recycling books. Obviously, sometimes you have to talk about the same book over and over if you're talking about a particular trope or genre or things like that, or like my 5-star reads, but I like to always have something new and fresh to talk about and compare like to other books and everything. So sometimes, yes, I do feel pressure, because otherwise, like I say, what content am I going to create? On the other hand, no, I don't, because obviously there's a little bit of an overconsumption, right, in the bookish space. And I mean, I buy loads of books, but in terms of like buying books, reading like 20 books a month and things like that, I don't ever feel like I need to read loads and loads and loads. Like, if I read 10 books in a month, I read 6 books in a month, I'm happy with that. I don't get annoyed because I feel like I should have read more. But yes, do sometimes, so I think I wish I'd read more so that I'd have more to talk about sometimes, yeah. But no, I don't feel pressure to read in terms of like, because I don't want it to ruin it. At the end of the day, this is a hobby for me and it's something that I love doing. I don't want it to start feeling like a chore. And so I'm very conscious of that. So I try to not put the pressure on to feel like I need to read loads. But sometimes I do feel like I have to read certain books at a certain time. So like right now I'm trying to stick to like Halloween-y themed vibes and gothic romances and things. If I wasn't making content, would I be reading those books or would I just be picking up whatever I want? Probably be picking up whatever I want a little bit more, but you do have to follow the trends sometimes. But that doesn't mean I'm not enjoying what I'm reading. I've bought the books because I was going to read them at one point or another anyway. Or like if there's a new release, sometimes if everybody else is saying how much they love it, then I do want to read it. So I will maybe squeeze it into my TBR so that I can read it at the time that it's relevant. But I try to just stick to what I want most of the time. You guys will be aware of that because I make TBR videos and I think I stick to them like 50% of the time and the other 50% I stray because depending on how my reading month is going, it depends what I read. I read a lot of new releases very late after most people. Like everyone's reading Alchemized right now. That is not on my radar for a while. I don't think, I want to read it this year, but whether I actually do, who knows. But would it, in terms of a content creator, be a book that I should read right now because everyone's talking about it? Yes. I'm not going to force myself to read something that's not on my radar right now, you know? I hope that, I feel like sometimes I hear myself speak and I'm like, either shut up or are you making any sense? I think that is the last question. Yeah, because then it just says, by the way, love your YouTube channel so much. Thank you. So there we have it. That's all the questions for my Q&A. I did get some repeat questions. So if you did ask me a question, I didn't answer it. It is just literally because somebody else asked the same question. But yeah, I hope that helps you guys like get to know me a little bit better, get to know my reading taste a little bit more. How long I've been talking for now? 34 minutes. That's actually not that bad. We'll see. We'll see how much of this rambling I have to take out of this video because I do like to ramble. If you haven't already, then make sure you are following me over on my Bookstagram and over on my TikTok because I post content over there that I don't post on here and vice versa. So I will leave all the links to my social media channels down below. Thank you so much to everybody. Again, thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers, for everybody who watches my videos, who's been here from the start, if you've just subscribed today. I've probably spoken so much that it's put you off. I totally get it. Thanks for listening to me ramble if you did make it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming content, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!